We're looking at Lab C today, which is called Mysterious M+Ms, and you'll be playing with some candy if you have it around. It doesn't have to be M+Ms, it could just be any kind of candy-coated little nuggets, Reese's Pieces, Skittles, that sort of thing. And so we're going to be looking at how these M+Ms dissolve and just interact with water in general. So you will see in the video for the lab that this is all basically done already, and you can do it side by side with your own candy at home. So the first thing you want to do with the M+Ms is observe them. Hopefully you're getting better at observing by now, lots of adjectives. This here has talk to your partners. If you've got someone around the house, you can rope into playing with candy, maybe bribe them with eating some candy. Do it with someone else, otherwise do it by yourself, or you could even get on Zoom with a friend and do it simultaneously with each other. It's not a difficult experiment. So break it open, look inside, and we're going to describe not just in words but also in pictures. So work on describing in a couple of ways. Your drawing is going to go right here. Okay, so first looking at that piece of candy, whichever one you choose to have, then you're going to try putting that M&M into water. You follow the procedure here, and you'll see it also in the video. Again, record your words and a sketch. Also, keep track of the time so that you can be consistent throughout the experiment. Now you're going to think about, now that you've done a little bit of preliminary data, you're going to go to the next stage and investigate a little bit more deeply. So there's a few different variables we could look at when we have this M&M sitting in water. We could look at different colors of M&Ms, which you'll actually see in my video. You could look at the number of M&Ms. That doesn't really work out all that interestingly. You could change the temperature of the water. You could change the type of liquid. I think you also see that in my video, or something else. Like, feel free to think outside of my little box, okay? So for each of these, you need to write at least one question for each variable and make it very specific. So for example, do certain M&M colors dissolve in water faster than others? And I would even improve that to say, do blue M&Ms dissolve in water faster than orange M&Ms? And so what you've done there is you've kind of laid out your experiment already in your question. So ask specific questions here. You've got space to add 3 of those. Temperature, type of liquid, and then something else of your own choosing. So you've got some questions there. Now you're going to pick one of those or something different and actually investigate it. So on the next page, you are going to choose one of these variables. Okay, so let's say I decide the temperature of the water. You're going to state the question. So do M&Ms dissolve faster in boiling water than they do in ice water? Say, be very specific. And then give a very specific experiment. I tend to find numbers or bullet points to be really helpful here. And you want your scientific procedure to be clear enough that someone else could repeat it. That's a crucial way that we confirm our evidence, is we repeat each other's experiments. So you want to make sure you give good enough directions someone else could repeat it. And you want to control as many variables as possible, so be as consistent as you can on everything but that one thing that you're changing. And you'll see that in the lab video, how I do that as well. Then you'll actually do the experiment, take notes, collect observations, and measurements where you can. So this might be colors, and this might be how many centimeters wide your little bubble is. So that could be tables or bullet points, drawings again. You're going to discuss this experiment with another group, okay? So this is going to be with a classmate. This can be before or after class. Give each other a call, do it simultaneously on Zoom. This is your community, and so talk about it, and as you talk, write in your own words the report on the following page. And as you talk, also be thinking about what kind of questions do we have. Again, if you don't have questions, you're not critically thinking or working hard enough, really pushing the limits. So you discover, you talk with your community, you talk about the outcomes, and now you're ready to go answer some questions together. You may or may not be sharing this with the class, possibly a discussion board, so look for instructions from your professor about that. So here, as you've worked with another classmate, here's what you're going to write up. This is going to be one of the main pages that you turn in and are graded on. What are you investigating? So what's that question? And that would go back to this page. Whatever your question was that you were answering, you're going to write that right here. Okay? And then your claim is going to be the answer to the question you investigated up here. So if we were looking at temperature of water, then you might say in boiling water, the M&M dissolves more slowly than it did in ice water, or whatever your answer was. That may not be a true statement I just made. So, short answer to your question. After we've made our claim, we want to have evidence, right? Don't just make opinions, but have evidence. And make sure that the evidence, you have at least 2 pieces of evidence and that they directly support your claim, okay? So if you were studying the temperature of the water and how it led to the M&M dissolving, don't give me a fun fact about how the M&M didn't dissolve in oil, all right? Make sure this evidence supports the claim. And then the reasoning will tie our evidence to the claim. If you go back to the writing lab that we did at the beginning of the semester, say you want to talk about the chemistry, kind of the chemistry reasons, how or why. So scientific principles that say, oh, this is why this dissolved faster or did not dissolve quite so fast. And then as always, we want to have questions. So maybe you had a mistake, something to fix, or maybe something to try next, but you should have at least 2 questions here. So 1 leading question for the experiment, a claim to answer that, at least 2 pieces of evidence to support the claim, a reason for each of those pieces of evidence, and then 2 questions here, and these would be really to complete the cycle. Now you could go and from that keep redoing the science. So that is the background for your M&M lab. I hope that you have fun doing it and maybe eat some candy in the process.